Good evening and welcome to Current Issues. I'm your host, Hesham Tillawi. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we will be discussing Aljazeera. You probably have heard of Aljazeera. You may not, but chances are you probably have. Aljazeera is a television station that started back in 1995 in the state of Qatar. You probably have not heard of Qatar either, but Qatar is in the Persian Gulf. And just to look at the map of Qatar, you will see it's an extremely small state in the Persian Gulf with a population now of probably about 700,000. It's that little yellow piece of land kind of thrown out there in the middle of the Gulf, and it's about 700,000 now population. 2/3 of those are basically foreigners. Back in 1995, the Emir of Qatar, the current Emir that is, he very much toppled his dad. He took over in a bloodless coup. His dad went to Geneva, Switzerland for medical attention or medical care, and he very much took over the palace. He was already the defense minister. He has been for many years. And so he became the new emir back in 1995. Of course, by the help of the United States and Israel, I might add, because his father was not someone that they could work with, because he was aligned mainly with the Saudis. That's the father. So the new emir, he pledged to work with the Americans. And in 1996, a year after he became the emir, after he kicked his dad out of the emir chair, as we say, he gave the United States a permission to build one of the largest Air Force bases outside mainland, or outside the mainland, and also one of the largest weapons depot outside of the United States mainland. So, in 1996, he gives permission to build one of the largest Air Force bases, and at the same year, he also gave permission, or actually he started and established Al Jazeera with his own money. So the Emir of Qatar in 1996, on the one hand, he gives the Americans permission to build one of the largest Air Force bases in the area to be used later to attack Iraq. And as a matter of fact, some of the weapons in the summer of '06 were transferred from this particular weapon depot in Qatar to Israel. Some of these cluster bombs have went from Qatar to Israel and to kill the Lebanese civilians. Or because of this coverage, ladies and gentlemen, we have a huge problem between the Sunnis and the Shiites in the Middle East. There was no problem before, but the way Al Jazeera covered it, but you see what they had done. They did something. Whoever planned and designed Al Jazeera did one thing. They got a network that the Arabs can trust. They got it way back in 1996. In 1996, it was also the year that the clean break document came out that we have explained. We had explained what the clean break document was, which is the removal of Saddam Hussein from power. Was an Israeli objective in its own right. That's exactly what it said. So all these things happened in 1996. The American Air Force base, the largest in the world, in Qatar, Al Jazeera gets started. It captures the minds and the hearts of the Arab people to give them doses to give them doses and direct them in the direction that they wanted to go. I guarantee you, if it was not for Al Jazeera, problems will not be as it is between Sunnis and Shiites there. But that was an Israeli objective. They talked about it way back in 1982 with strategies for Israel in the 1980s. They said we must destroy Iraq and split it into 3 different or 4 or more states by playing on the fault lines, and the fault lines are the Shiites, the Sunnis, and the ethnicities between the Persians, Arabs, and the Kurds. And that's exactly what Al Jazeera did. Al Jazeera also played was very instrumental in the division, what took place between the Palestinians. They have played on that and played the stories over and over again until they had made the Palestinians 2 people instead of 1. What Al Jazeera did. Al Jazeera also played was very instrumental in the division, what took place between the Palestinians. They have played on that and played the stories over and over again until they had made the Palestinians 2 people instead of 1. Now we can't all blame Al Jazeera for that, but Al Jazeera was very instrumental in doing that. Another thing about Qatar. The United States says they are with Mahmoud Abbas and his group. The United States said that they were anti-Hamas, that they did not like what Hamas did in Gaza. But yet we find the Qatari government, and yet we find Al Jazeera very pleased with what happened. They were supporting what happened. Al Jazeera had supported Hamas and gave them a platform wide open to split the Palestinian people. And they were succeeded. And they were succeeded. Al Jazeera, of course, has Al Jazeera in Arabic, which started back in 1996. Then they started with Al Jazeera Net, which is Arabic and English. And recently they started with Al Jazeera in English, which is nothing, ladies and gentlemen, but a Fox News. Now this gentleman here is an American Marine captain. His name is John Rushing. This man was the press secretary for CENTCOM, the Central Command, the United States Central Command. How in the world did he end up being as part of Al Jazeera? Now you see things are not adding up. At the same time, to make things look good for Al Jazeera, we attacked Al Jazeera. We even killed some of Al Jazeera people, reporters. We killed Tariq Ayoub in Iraq. We are holding Sami Al-Hajj, who was a cameraman. We also threatened that we will bomb Al Jazeera. And I guarantee you, I watched both of them, the Al Jazeera in English and in Arabic. The one in Arabic is nothing, absolutely nothing like the one in English. The one in Arabic, 90% of what they give is what the Arab mind wants to hear. But 10% that is brilliantly programmed to very much do 2 things. Make Israel a common denominator in the area, in the Middle East. Have the Arabs look at Israel just like another country in the Middle East. Not thinking about the killing that the Israelis do and commit every day against the Palestinians. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I did go to Hebron, Palestine, and I interviewed a former Al Jazeera correspondent that we will be playing the interview that I did with Khalid Amira, who used to write for Al Jazeera Net, and you will hear from him personally of why he was removed from Al Jazeera, and you will I believe we do have that ready, so let's go ahead and go to the interview. here in Dura, which is near Hebron, Al-Khalil, is Khalid Omaira. Khalid is an American educated journalist based in...
Well, it seems to me that Aljazeera got fed up with my reports from the West Bank. They eventually did not like my reports about what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians. They thought that I should be neutral. I argued that as a journalist I have to be honest rather than neutral. Honesty is more paramount and more important than neutrality. I mean, you cannot be neutral between occupiers and the occupied, between tormentors and the tormented, between criminals and victims. You've got to be honest. You've got to report things as they are, as they happen. Obviously, Al Jazeera did not like that, and when I say Al Jazeera, I refer to those people who came from the BBC and CNN and other Western news agencies who eventually took control of Al Jazeera.
Can you name some names in Al Jazeera who took control, and what was the problem with them? I mean, these are veteran journalists.
People like Russell Merriman, for example, and others. Those people were inculcated with Zionist propaganda for a long time, and they have a worldview that is compatible and consistent with the Zionist propaganda about Palestine.
Of other organizations, then why other Western media organizations? Why have Al Jazeera in English?
Well, this is a mind-boggling question. Al Jazeera English is just Fox News paid by the Arabs, financed by the Arabs, by Arab money, and this is really very painful. I do not want Al Jazeera English to be biased vis-a-vis Arab issues, including the Palestinian issue. But at the same time, I expect Al Jazeera English to be honest, to be neutral, to present the other view. I am saying that because very often